Hello everyone, Man Aviation here, back with another trip report. Today we're at Dublin Airport where we'll be taking a flight over to New York via Reykjavik with Icelandair on one of their A321 Neo and 737 Max 9 aircraft. Now, having just arrived from Manchester on an Aer Lingus flight, since it's a UK destination that we've come from, we don't actually have to go through passport control, nor do we have to clear another security check. So having followed signs for flight connections, it was literally scan your boarding pass and then you're straight through. Now, Dublin does have two terminals. However, once you're through, you're free to walk sort of between the two. It's only really for the check-in and sort of arrival procedures that there's two terminals. But like I said, once you're through, you're free to walk through both. So in this case, we had a flight that had arrived into Terminal 2 and left from Terminal 1. So if you do arrive and your flight is leaving technically from a different terminal, then don't get stressed or panic if you don't see signs for a specific terminal, because once you're through, it doesn't matter anyway. But yeah, the whole process was really swift, and it literally took less than 2 minutes to get through. All my flights that day were on time, so the two connections that I had, the one that I had in Dublin now and the one you'll see later in Reykjavik, all of it was on time, so it made for quite swift connections. You will see the whole experience through Reykjavik, what connecting like is there, but most importantly what the onboard product is like on Icelandair and how it compares to a lot of other carriers across the Atlantic, because it is certainly a little bit different, but that doesn't mean it's any worse. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy the video, and let's get into it. I have fast forwarded it a little bit, so from the last clip you'll walk through a few corridors, walk past the main security area, which is where the two terminals sort of meet up, walk through the duty free, and then it takes you to where I am right now, which is the main walkway to the main pier over at Terminal 1, which is where the majority of flights leave from, particularly if you're flying with, say, Ryanair. There's a few other airlines who use this bit. Well, obviously, airline I'm flying with today, Icelandair, their main stand, which in this case is 104, they leave from this bit as well. But most of the flights from this area are Ryanair. It takes a little bit of time to get down here, probably about a good 15 minutes, I'd say. So certainly leave enough time to get to the gates down here, as you really don't want to be running and rushing past people. The aircraft that will be taking us up to Iceland this morning is a brand new Airbus A321 Neo Tango Foxtrot India Alpha Alpha, and was delivered to the airline in November 2024 before entering service with them in December 2024, making it just under 2 months old at the time of recording. It's the first of 20 A321 Neo LRs that the airline has ordered, which is sadly replacing the much loved Boeing 757s, which the airline is currently phasing out of its fleet. The airline does have plans to introduce A321 XLRs to the fleet, however they're not expected until at least 2029. Their A321 Neos feature 187 seats, which includes 22 Saga premium seats and 165 economy class seats. This aircraft bears the name Esja, which is an Icelandic mountain range. Now, as you can see, our aircraft is being towed onto our stand this morning. That's because this aircraft actually spent the night in Dublin after its flight the day before back up to Iceland was actually cancelled due to some quite strong winds. So it arrived in the day before, the crew stayed overnight, as did the aircraft, and it will be now taking us all back to Reykjavik this morning. Assumably, the passengers from the cancelled flight back yesterday will have been put onto our flight. So our flight, I'd say, was probably a little bit busier than what it probably should have been, but it wasn't really so much an issue. Hi, you okay?
Hiya. Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
Hello.
Hold on, Billy, let me get a picture. Billy.
Góður farþegar, velkomin bort. Við ykkur að setja töskunar ykkar sem eru á hjólum í kargutólfið fyrir ofan sætin og möguleiki að setja tólrönd. Dear passengers, can I ask you, if you have bags on wheels, can you please put it on the side? So it fits more bags, please. Don't let it lie flat, put it on the side. Can
I get one? Can I go in? Just get on the way back.
Okay, it's going to be dark, what's the point? Under the seat in front of you for smaller bags, backpacks. Thank you. Passengers, welcome aboard. You need to rearrange some of your luggage. We kindly ask you to step aside. So the line can pass. It will speed down departure. Otherwise, the overhead compartments are pretty spacious, so the bigger bags goes in there. Usually it's better to put them on the sides. There's also space under the seat in front of you. You need to put something smaller there. Thank you.
Morning folks, welcome on board this Icelandair flight to Dublin-Reykjavik, Iceland. My name is Johan from the flight deck. We are just about to be ready. I estimate to be pushing back within the next 15 minutes or so. Depends on the traffic here at the airport. Once the airport, the estimated flying time is 2 hours even. We're expecting nice conditions on the way, especially the first hour and a half of the flight, but during descent you might expect some turbulence. Nothing to worry about, but we recommend that you have your belts fastened at all times while in your seats. Weather in Iceland, a bit windy right now, but the wind will pass by quite quickly. We're expecting westerly strong wind when we land. We'll provide you with the latest information on the current conditions at Keflavik Airport before we start descending. Until then, I hope you're comfortable and you enjoy the flight and the service on board.
passengers who have a TV screen in the armrest or under the seat to securely stow it at this time. Góðir farþegar, verið öll velkomin heim. Klukkan hér 2:30. Við biðjum ykkur vinsamlegast að sitja með sætisbeltið spennt, þannig slökkt hefur verið á sætisbeltaljósum og við biðjum ykkur að opna farangurshjól varlega þar sem farangur gæti að fæst til. Við biðjumst velvirðingar á þessari seinkun og þeim óþægindum sem hún kann hafa valdið ykkur. Þökkum ykkur þolinmæðina. Svo vil ég nefna það að í dag leggjum við ekki upp við flugstöðina. Það eitthvað örlítið rok þrátt fyrir að það sé mikið búið að lægja. Því mælum við með að það sé klæðist einhverju yfirhöfn leið þau fær frá borði og gangi gætilega niður stigana. Við vonum að ferðin hafi séð when opening the overhead compartments as objects may have shifted during the flight. Information on connecting flights can be found on monitors inside the terminal building. For those passengers continuing to destination in the USA or Canada, please remain in the D area as you do not need to go through passport control at this time. All connecting passengers to USA, you can stay in the D area. For all other connecting flights, please proceed to passport control. Today the aircraft is not parked at the terminal is over. It's a little bit windy, and since the weather can be unpredictable, we would suggest that you would wear something warm when you leave the aircraft, and please be careful when you go down the steps. We hope you enjoyed the flight with us today. Thank you for choosing Icelandair and have a pleasant afternoon.
And there we go with decent flight on Icelandair's brand new A321 Neo aircraft. I must say I absolutely love the interior. It's really modern, it was clean, it still smelled brand new despite being in service for around 2 months. The IFE system, absolutely brilliant. I mean, which is what you'd expect of an aircraft that is, well, it's for the future really. It'll be in Icelandair's fleet, I'm sure, for at least another 30 odd years. So it's got to serve its purpose for all those years, and I must say that it will do its job. It's got a wide range of movies, the moving map as well, which is one that I've never sort of seen before. There's so many features on it, and it's a very good system altogether, and the passengers that will use it will love it as well. The resolution again is probably the best I've seen in the sky so far. It's so crisp and so clear, so hats off to them. Anyway, disembarking off the plane onto a remote stand. I think most of the stands at Iceland are remote stands. There's not actually that many stands with a jet bridge attached. So we arrived onto a remote, got off the plane. It wasn't so much that it was cold, it was just very windy, very blustery. In fact, when we pulled onto stand, and obviously everyone stands up, get their bags, having to wait for the stairs to be attached, you could literally feel the plane moving ever so slightly in the wind. It was literally that windy that even though, our plane was obviously full of bags, full of people, it was still rocking about, which was quite intense. But yeah, it was a walk over to the bus and then a short ride over to the terminal. There was quite a lot of stairs involved, so that's maybe one sort of negative of the experience. Maybe install a few escalators because there was lots of people with luggage, and obviously it is with the case of, with Iceland, there's people travelling with, lots of luggage, spare shoes and everything. So an escalator or two in the arrivals bit could help, but it wasn't so much an issue. Like with connecting in Dublin, we didn't need to go through a passport control nor an additional security check since we were connecting to a US bound flight. So again, it was fairly quick, fairly simple. We're through to the departures lounge, which we didn't have much time to explore. My friend had some issues with his connecting boarding pass, so we spent most of the time we had fixing that. We got a bite to eat at one of the shops there, where they actually sell pizzas for around, I think it was around €5, which isn't really that bad. I've heard reports that Reykjavik Airport is quite expensive. But I have to say, the place that we went to, which was the only place I looked at, to be honest, we didn't look anywhere else. I thought the prices there were fairly reasonable. It was certainly a lot cheaper than what the food was on the plane anyway. So no complaints from me really. The airport obviously had Wi-Fi. And yeah, it was quite a decent experience, although that would quite quickly change for when we boarded our next flight over to JFK. Now, Icelandair's flight schedule works around the connections that it does. So all the morning flights to Europe that leave around 8 in the morning, they all return back at around 2 to 3 p.m. in the afternoon, which is what we were on. And then all the US flights leave sort of between 5 and 6 p.m. So they cram them all together. And obviously, if you're going to cram all flights together, you need to make sure that they leave sort of in separate areas, if you like. Well, that was definitely not the case for this occasion. I've not checked Reykjavik's airport layout. I don't know how many zones there are. I think there is quite a few. But obviously certain flights to certain places will have to leave from certain gates, in relation to passport checks and things. But in this gate area alone, which was all the remote stands, so bus boarding, there was I think 3 flights in this one area, and then there was a bit more further down. It was so chaotic. There was no queuing system. Not in a bad way or anything against the airport, but it's probably the most hectic boarding I've ever had in my years of travelling. There was no system, there was no announcements, there was no nothing. It was kind of fight your way through, and obviously maybe at a train station when people are travelling with not so much luggage, it might be okay, but at an airport where at least every passenger would be travelling with multiple bags, it was just so it was just so chaotic. Thankfully, we weren't waiting in this specific queue for very long. I mean, we got there as boarding was sort of commencing, but you sort of did have to fight your way through a bit to board the plane. Not so much, a massive issue. Things like this don't really bother me as such, but to a lot of people, especially those with, say, reduced mobility and whatnot, it's definitely not a good experience. I don't know if this happens on every occasion. I'd like to think it does, because I'm sure if they could prevent this happening, they would. Because literally, as I've mentioned, and as you can see, it was just a complete free-for-all. But we made it to the front. We boarded the bus that would take us literally right across the airfield to our aircraft. As I mentioned, most of Reykjavik stands are remote, so you do need to get a bus to the majority of them. And it seems like they just literally park them almost anywhere. Our plane was parked outside, I think, one of Icelandair's hangars, which is literally right on the opposite side of the airport. So that was quite bizarre. But obviously, as an av geek, even in wet weather like this, I still love boarding via stairs. I much prefer it to a jet bridge. But anyways, I'll shut up and let you enjoy the boarding. Hello.
Yeah,
Thank you. The aircraft that we're taking us over to New York this evening is a 6-year-old Boeing 737 Max 9 Tango Foxtrot India Charlie Alpha, which was originally delivered in February 2019. However, due to the grounding of the Max type along with COVID, it meant it didn't actually enter service for another 2 years until April 2021. Icelandair's Max 9s seat 178 passengers, 162 in economy and 16 in the Saga premium cabin. This particular aircraft carries the name Hvítserkur, which is a 50-metre sea stack located in the northwest area of Iceland. I have left a link to its Wikipedia page in the description below should you wish to read more about this particular landmark in Iceland. Now, with Icelandair naming all their aircraft, not only do they have the name featured at the front of the aircraft on the side of the nose as you're boarding, as you'll see in a minute, there's also a sticker with a sort of small graphic visual of the landmark plus a bit of information as well, which is quite a nice touch. Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Right over. Yeah, you can not unless you can wait and do this.
Hi, you alright?
Right over.
Better keep on my coat for a sec.
Just go ahead and check it out.
Good afternoon, dear passengers. On behalf of Icelandair and the crew, I'd like to welcome you on board our aeroplane Hvítserkur. As our pilot and command Sverrir Olsson just told us, the flying time tonight to New York will be 6 hours. Please fasten your seatbelt and have your seat back footrest and the tray table in an afterdelight position before takeoff. Have the window seats open in takeoff and landing, and please secure your hand baggage. And shortly, I'd like to have your attention concerning our safety on board. On this flight, you're welcome to use your small electronic devices on flight mode throughout the flight. This flight is in a code share with Air Baltic. I thank you for your attention and hope you will enjoy the flight tonight and the service on board. passengers, please fasten your seatbelt and ensure that your seat back, footrest, armrest and tray table are locked position and that window shades are open. Góði farþegar verið öll velkomin til New York. Klukkan eru 17 mínútur yfir 6. Dear passengers, welcome to New York. The local time is 18 minutes past 6. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt signs have been switched off. Take care when opening the over compartments as objects may have shifted during the flight. Information on connecting flights can be found on monitors inside the terminal building. All passengers continuing on connecting flights with other airlines, please note that you must pick up your luggage and clear customs. This applies as well if your luggage was checked through to your final destination. Otherwise, we hope you enjoyed the flight with us and thank you for choosing Icelandair and have a pleasant evening.
And there we go, arrived safely into New York after a decent day flying with Icelandair. The first leg on the A321 Neo from Dublin to Reykjavik, and then this last leg over to New York on their 737 Max 9. Very good onboard experience. I thought that the cabin was modern, it was clean, served its purpose, a decent IFE system. Yes, no meals included. It's less than what you get on a legacy carrier, such as your BAs, your Americans, your Uniteds. But I thought the onboard experience was still very good. Icelandair, it sort of sits in the middle. It's not low cost, such as like Norse, for example, but then it's not premium. It sort of sits in the middle. I mean, they fly a lot of niche routes. Two of their routes they operate to Raleigh, Durham, and they also operate to Baltimore in the US as well, which are rarely served anywhere in the UK or even in Europe. I think American Airlines fly from Heathrow to Raleigh, but I think that's it from the UK, and that's only like once a day. So Icelandair, I'd say, is only worth it from a UK point of view, or well, I suppose anywhere in Europe, if you're flying to a place which isn't really served or even served at all. The route I did, New York, would I do it again with Icelandair? Probably not. I could have flown direct for around the same price and got there a little bit quicker. Of course, the av geek inside of me doesn't mind doing a stupid itinerary and getting on lots of planes. It doesn't bother me. But to a lot of people, that's a big thing. The return flight certainly took its toll. I did the exact same route in coming back and I was absolutely shattered. So definitely on the way back, a direct flight probably would have been better. But none the how, I definitely enjoyed my experience with Icelandair. Solid product, on time, consistent. The only downside I have was the boarding experience in Reykjavik, which is, well, it's not Icelandair's fault, is it? But that's the only sort of negative I have from Icelandair and Reykjavik. I thought the cabin crew were friendly, very professional. The cabin lights, they kept on the New York flight, they kept them dimmed the whole flight, and on my return flight as well, they did as well. So very good crew, friendly, and I would definitely recommend them. As mentioned before, I'll leave links to the descriptions of the menu and even the aircraft names that we flew on. and what they represent. Everything will be in the description below. Right, I will wrap that video up here. It's taken around 45 minutes, so massive thank you for those who've stayed to the end. It's been a fun video to make, and I hope to make more videos like this in the future where we go on a little bit of a wild itinerary, but one that's nonetheless fun and one that's always memorable. But yes, guys, thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.